Let's welcome on our next guest. We haven't talked to her in a while because she is no longer on the Kansas City, Missouri City Council, but she is staying active in the region, especially in the Northland, and that is former Kansas City, Missouri Councilwoman Heather Hall, who is joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. Heather, good morning. It's great to have you on the show. It's been, a few months since you left City Hall. What have you been up to?
Well, I've just been making cookies and, hanging out with my family and trying to decide what my next steps are, Pete. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. That sounds a lot better than banging your head against the wall at 12th and Oak.
Seriously. It's been an interesting and welcome reprieve, I would say, since August.
Well, take me through. I know, listen, those elections came and went. There was a couple of folks, one person in particular, Nathan Willett, who you wanted to see succeed you, and he has. But, you see the makeup of the council. Has anything thus far surprised you in things that City Hall has attempted to do or wanted to do, or is it basically gone as you would have expected the last few months?
Well, unfortunately, it hasn't surprised me. It is business as usual, where there's this constant tug of war between power sources, and that's exhausting, and that doesn't do anything good for the people of Kansas City. And I'd like to see that stop in City Hall, and I believe Nathan is trying hard to do that, and he's doing a very good job, and I'm proud of what his efforts are for the people of Kansas City.
Well, what about things in particular that you feel like are business as usual? What policies, what things have been proposed, whether it's stadium related, whether it's tied to, where they were considering, and I guess they're still technically considering this policy where landlords could not do background checks on potential renters. Like, what are the things that you've seen the last couple of months where you've been like, whoa, what are we doing here?
Right. Well, first and foremost, we have to have some sort of a balance when it comes to the people who are renting our properties here in Kansas City and the people who are renting to them. And it cannot just be a one-sided relationship in any way. And this is unsafe for all of the people who are renting in all the properties when you allow a certain segment of the population to not have to follow the same rules that everybody else does. And that's a problem. And we do that immeasurably in Kansas City. We're doing that there. We're doing that with the police budget, with the police department, expecting other organizations to act as law enforcement agencies when they don't have the ability to do that. That's something that's not okay with me. And we wonder why we have an unsafe city. And under this mayor, we have the worst homicide rate ever. And we've got to get that under control. And the only way to do that is to partner positively with the police department, not work against them.
Well, what do you make of that? I mean, you brought it up, and I was going to get to it. What we've seen with Kansas City setting a homicide record in 2023, and there was that press conference I'm sure you saw last week between the police chief and the mayor, kind of talking about how things will hopefully be different. Should Kansas Cityans have confidence in leadership in the department and also at City Hall that this thing is heading in the right direction?
Well, until they start doing something that's different than what they've been doing, then the answer is no. We have to continue to fight and do things differently than what they've done in the last 4 years. When Sly was mayor, and he and I did not always get along on the things we did or did not agree with, but we had a healthy relationship positively, and he worked with the police chief when he was had his position on the board, and they worked together with the department to help make the officers do a better job or have the opportunities to do a better job because they had the tools they needed and they had enough officers. We're at a historic low in officers, and that doesn't bode well when you have 319 square miles of geography and over 500,000 people to take care of.
Well, you mentioned the relationship between at that time, Sly James and the police chief, and I guess you're referring to Rick Smith early. Is that, or you're referring to Forte?
Well, and Forte.
And Forte.
Both.
Yeah.
Forte
yeah.
and Smith, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like the mayor and the police chief right now are very close. They have a very good relationship as far as I can tell. So why is it not working 1 year into the job?
Well, because there's not just those two people. I mean, we have a board of 5 people, or four other people on the board, on the commission, and we have officers who are needing to do their job. And what I'm concerned with is that the mayor and several of the council people aren't going to be willing to do what they need to do to keep the department better. And that is, we need to pay our officers better. They are the 17th lowest out of the top 20 regional departments in this area. They're paid 17th lowest. That's not okay for the kind of city we are. That makes them want to go other places. And if you've been seeing, we've had record high retirements and lateral transfers to other departments because A, they're safer, and B, they're paying them better. And as a former police wife, why wouldn't I want my husband to be safe when he's out there and at least taken care of? And I don't know that that's what's going on right now with the leadership, and that is something we have to do. And the mayor, the council, during this current budget cycle they're in right now, they have got to figure out a way to pay those people better. I know Nathan Willet's doing an ordinance or an amendment to the budget to say $10,000 more per officer, which would raise them to $60,000, and that would be at least commensurate and bring them up to the top 5 of the region's paid officers. And I'm not saying pay is the only thing that makes officers do a better job, but it's what gets us to get more officers so that the ones that are there aren't so taxed. Mm-hmm. Because right now they're working so many overtime hours and so much that they're getting burned out, and burned out officers are not, that's just not okay. That's not healthy for them.
No, you're right about that. When you look at, now speaking of yourself as a police officer wife, last time I saw you, of course, was with Sarah DeValcanair, the wife of Eric. How is she doing? And is there any update you can provide us there in terms of what's going on with that clemency appeal at the state level?
Well, we're still fighting every single day, Pete. I think people are forgetting about this man who is sitting in prison for doing his job. And we have got to continue to fight for that. That sweet family is living every day. They've now missed anniversaries. They've missed holidays. They've missed birthdays together. And just because he did what he was supposed to do, which he was dispatched on a call by the dispatchers of the police department that told him to go somewhere. He went there. He did his job. And now he's being charged with a crime that no officer in the line of duty should be charged with, which is armed criminal action. Of course he's armed. He was in the line of duty doing the job that he was called to do. And any officer that would have been called that same day would have done the same thing, and that is unacceptable, and he should be free, and there is no reason why the governor cannot see that. He, number one, is a police officer. His wife is a police wife. He understands what it's like to be in the call of duty and go do what you're doing, and we have got to get Eric DeValcanair out of prison. And everybody I know, I am telling them, people I don't even know, I'm saying, if you live in the state of Missouri, you call the governor right now and you tell him, please take Eric out of jail. He has been there now since October 17th. That is too long. He needs to be back with his family and have the life that he needs to have.
And what do you think? I mean, not that you're going to share private conversations with the governor's office, but is there a reason that a decision either way is taking as long as it appears to be taking?
I can't answer why he's waiting. I've asked. People have asked. We've had many conversations with him and his team, and I just don't understand, because quite honestly, he has the power to do that. And up until January 1st of 2025, when he walks out the door as governor, he has every single opportunity legally to do that. And we've had conversations with incoming, or hopefully incoming, aren't exactly sure who's going to be the new governor, but pretty much every governor candidate that we have talked with is on board with this, with clemency. And so I don't understand where the disconnect is. And, I highly respect the office of the governor, and I believe that there are things that I don't know, but I do believe that this is a pretty obvious one, and we must let this man out of jail. He has done everything he said he was supposed to do. This was a huge error in the justice system, and it needs to be rectified.
We are being joined by Heather Hall for our Feature Friday conversation. Heather, I believe when it came to the Royals' future, you were, as a Clay County resident, very interested in the team possibly coming up north. I assume, some of how this works behind the scenes. So why do you think ultimately the Royals it appears to have decided to not go north of the river? Oh, sorry, Heather. I hit the wrong button. That's on me. So anyway, restart your answer there if you might.
Okay. Well, Pete, I have always thought that Clay County would have been a wonderful footprint for the Royals. It would have been such a pretty complement to the Casey Current Stadium on the other side of the river, and it would have been a really nice view. But at the same time, as a conservative, fiscal conservative, I was uncomfortable on the taxing issue, not just what the tax on the ballot for the residents would be, but the incentivized process. So the TIFs, the CIDs, the different things that would have encompassed other kinds of infrastructure problems around North Kansas City and Clay County. And so those do weigh on me financially. And for this to be the decision that it is with the numbers that it is, I'm glad it's not in Clay County, because the residents of Clay County now won't be burdened with that. I am very still concerned about what that financial dollar will do to the residents of Jackson County, and especially the citizens of Kansas City in the inner city part of the area that they're planning on this footprint, because it is an expensive proposition, and it's on the backs of some of the people that can't afford it the most. And that's disappointing to me. But at the same time, as a Royals fan, I definitely don't want them leaving the area. So I would like them to stay in the metro. But I still do have a concern on the financial dollar amount.
What you mentioned, of course, the Royals look like they're going to be staying in Kansas City now. How much money, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but it's got to be to the tune of millions of dollars that the city and the taxpayer is still subsidizing power and light. And I bring that up because if the Royals look at the KC Star building and they build an entertainment district for themselves next to the Star building, how does that make any sense when power and light is right around the corner and it's already losing money and still losing money?
Absolutely. There's nothing that, I will say the power and light has done a lot for the public safety aspect of that specific footprint. It's a safer, more, entertainment venue than some of the others in the metro. However, we're still not making any money off of it. There's maybe 2 different venues within the power and light that actually are being taxed, that we get some money from. And that's been a long time. We're talking 23 years. Generational wealth or loss of wealth is happening because we're not receiving tax revenue. And then that just will be a greater 23-year burden on that same footprint if we do it right there at the Kansas City Star building. And people just don't think about that. They think, oh, everybody comes to town, we make all this money. Well, if every hotel and every restaurant and every ticket that we buy the tax generation is not coming to the city to pay for maintenance, road maintenance, public safety, trash pickup, snow removal, all those things, that's a loss, which means that's a hit to the budget of the city. And people just don't see that.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't. But we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be a very interesting next couple of months, I guess, on that front.
Absolutely.
What is something, Heather Hall, that you've been following, whether it's publicly or behind the scenes in Kansas City, Missouri, as a former councilwoman, that you don't think is getting nearly enough attention in local media?
Oh gosh. Well, the first one is always what I talk about, which is, public safety. I don't think people understand that if you don't have a safe city, you don't have a city that people want to live in. And people are constantly talking about, education or, tourism or these kinds of things. But those are just the bright, shiny nickels, right? And the things that aren't as sexy are the most important things that we need to talk about. And those are the trash bins, which is so silly. But, finally, after 7 years of asking, I finally was able to get the rolling lidded recycle bins in Kansas City. After 7 years on the council, we finally got those in this largest city in the metro. Everybody else has them, but we didn't. But we're talking about environmental stuff, things like that. We've got to do the stuff that's not sexy, but that's most important. That's what keeps people in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. They don't want to have to go out to their front yard and see that their car's been stolen. They don't want their neighbor being burglarized. They don't want things happening in the schools that they shouldn't be happening in the schools. They want to be safe. They want to know that their children are safe. They want to be employed. They want to have good jobs. And these are things that we don't talk about. We talk about stadiums. We talk about having the Rock Island Bridge party barge bridge. And we're talking about things that really don't move the needle. The streetcar, I'm not a fan. I think that is a waste of money when we could be doing something that's a better rail system that makes more sense to move more people. But those things are exciting and sexy, and the mayor and most of the colleagues on the council want to go in those directions. I don't think that's what makes Kansas City a great city. I think what makes Kansas City a great city are the people, the jobs, the economy, when we have great companies that started their business here and grew here, those are the things that people care about. And we need to do that and keep our people here for those reasons.
Heather Hall, anything in your political future at this point in time?
Well, I am doing something that I really do feel passionate about, and that is this year is an election year. As you know, Pete, this is a big election year. We've got 2024 presidential elections, and the thing that I'm most interested in is fair, honest, and transparent elections in the process of getting the next president elected. And I have taken a position, which is an interim position, which I'm really excited about, with the Clay County Board of Election Commissioners to help Clay County move the needle in how we make one of the fifth largest counties in the state of Missouri here, and to make our elections fair and honest and very transparent, so that people know their votes are good. And so I'm excited about that, and we're going to see where that goes, because like Mayor James and I were talking about last week on John Holt's program, we said, you know what, we're missing civility in the process of this. And civility is my word of the year, Pete, and I'm going to go through the entire year, even until November. We are going to have civil conversations, and we're going to have civility in this election process.
Yeah, Slack can be pretty good at that. Sometimes he goes off the rails. I can speak to that firsthand, but I do like the guy deep down. He's a good guy. So, Heather Hall, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend, and thanks so much for being here on a Friday.
Oh, thanks for having me on today, Pete. You be careful out there.
You as well. That is Heather Hall, former Kansas City, Missouri Councilwoman on KCMO.